Hip-hop discussion sucks now, dude. I'm not gonna act like that there was never any bad apples in the hip-hop community, because there were, but that's in every community, especially in music. Just ask your average K-pop fan what they think about black people. They'll turn into the Ku Klux Klan real quick. But I feel like the hip-hop community just represents the worst of it.
Hey, Peggy, let me talk to him one time. Hold up.
This video is going to be very scattered brain because one, I recorded this video like 3 times to give me a break, and 2, I'm just treating this more as a rant than I am an actual discussion. Not saying that this can't be an actual discussion, more so saying I'm really tired, I want to yell. One issue in music discourse in general that is very much present in the hip-hop community is that nothing can just be mediocre anymore. Everything has to be the best thing ever or abominable dog shit, you know, the type of shit that Hitler will be bumping. And do you really want to be in the wrong side of history? Don't answer that. Don't forget how no one listens past the first 5 seconds of anything anymore. As soon as they hear those drum patterns, immediate dog shit. Terrible, horrible. And while not as bad as it once was, just go in any comment section of any hip-hop commentator and you can find some of the dumbest comments you've ever seen. I've heard stuff that I feel like has to be rage bait, bro. While YouTube is not that bad, Instagram especially is really bad with this. But even YouTube has its moments where people just spam the same joke like 5 times. The script was written before the execution of Goldie Travis Scott, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, just keep it that way. Now, I make videos. A lot of those videos I make for myself, and I like making videos a lot. But I recently made a shift in my content where I'm talking a lot more about video games than I am hip-hop. Don't get me wrong, I still love talking about hip-hop, but video games is just something I'm a little more passionate on. Something that also discouraged me from making hip-hop videos is these dumbasses in my comment section. Of course, being a smaller channel, I don't really get as big as videos as someone like CDTV or Blackie Speaks. But for those videos that do decently well, like my Dochi video for example, they have a lot of comments that make me question, did you even watch the fucking video? I made a video talking about how I feel like a lot of the Dochi hate feels very forced, and the comments remedy that by proving my point. Not all of them are like this, actually most of the top ones you'll see are actually sane, normal comments. There are also people who said that they don't really like how overplayed her music is, which is a part of why they don't like her music, and I think that's completely okay. You cannot like Dochi, that's fine. My issue is when you overdo it, because at that point, it just gets obnoxious. There's a difference between, hey, I don't really like this artist, and she's talented, she's trash, she has no good music, I hate her! And that was just a majority of the negative comments I got from the video, and it made it very obnoxious to read the comments. My Dochi video isn't the only video that I got this kind of response with. My Wayne video was somehow worse. And I could just tell a lot of these people just didn't watch the video. You wanna know how? The top comment of this video is, he released one bad album. I will now play to you a clip from this video. Wayne doesn't really have the discography that matches status anymore. I'm not saying he's undeserving of it, but it feels like now he just doesn't have anything to prove anymore and just kind of coasting around. Genuinely, what this decade that Wayne has put out that you consider the best of the decade? Hell, people inspired by Wayne have better discographies than him right now. Maybe you should watch the video before you comment so you can have the context, and you already know I addressed that, so maybe you should watch the goddamn thing! I'm sorry. Got heated there. I apologize. That's on me. Hip-hop fans just don't want to check out the video before they comment, like, at all. They just get mad at the thumbnail, get mad at the title, and don't even hear the reasoning. And the crazy thing is, I'm not the only one. Other creators who are bigger than me have to deal with these people. I remember Invader Wist specifically was talking about this issue when he was talking about him making the Industry Plant video and having his top comment mentioning something he already talked about in the video. Off topic, I was actually gonna get Wist to talk in this video, but due to scheduling conflicts, we couldn't make it work. But still, you should go support him and his stuff. I'll leave it in the description down below. Genuinely really love the dude's content. And look, the thing I don't get is like, can you just watch the video before you comment? Because then you can mention a point that the video addresses, and look, now you look stupid. Another thing about hip-hop fans is that they change their mind every 10 seconds. Like GNX, bad album. Why? Because the normies got to it. Now it's stinky. Ew, GNX is stinky. Clips album, overrated. It's way too hard. No deep songs. Hell Hitler by Kanye? You know what? The beat's good on that one, so it's a little overhated. And don't get me wrong, it's fine if you have these opinions, except that last one. Get help. But does everything have to be like a fuck you to someone? Why can't it just be, you know, GNX isn't really my thing? We're not debating politics, we're debating music. And I just gotta ask, where does this behavior even come from? Oh. channel. Now, I don't really watch that many hip-hop commentators. When it comes to like mainstream commentators, like something like The Breakfast Club or Joe Budden or DJ Academics, they were never really my thing, especially since I just don't really like them as people. And I know some people will ask why does it matter, and it doesn't, but it's also worth mentioning that these people do influence what goes on in hip-hop. Not necessarily what the artist makes, but more so how the community reacts to things. But what I can give to these commentators is that at the very least they respect and love the genre they're talking about. I don't agree with everything Joe Budden says, but at the very least I can give him the fact that he does love hip-hop. Can't really say the same about the streamer. Aiden Ross's everything wrong with hip-hop discussion all wrapped up in a nice little bow. I've been holding off talking about this guy because every time I try to, I feel like I'm about to blow my brains out. He's a leash who does no respect for the genre he's talking about unless it's giving him profit. He does not care about hip-hop as a genre. Yet for some reason his fucking gremlins act like he's the all-say of hip-hop. And even then, it doesn't help that even outside the realm of hip-hop, he's an asshole. He often brings on and defends pretty horrible people in hip-hop. For example, more recently, 6ix9ine, a registered sex offender, and a pedophile. Oh hey Doechii, I was just about to talk about you. Recently Doechii released a track where she talks a lot about the hate she's been receiving and how a majority of it feels very misogynistic. Aiden heard this track and immediately knew it was talking about him. The funniest thing is that she didn't even mention him by name, yet he knew it was talking about him. Aiden has in the past talked a lot of nasty shit about Doechii. One of those things was calling her a bitch for being slightly bratty at Met Gala.
Doechii rant? Oh, dude, don't get me started on that bitch. Hey, don't get me started on that bitch. Don't get me started on that industry plant. Don't get me started. You guys can say shit whatever you want about me, but one thing about me is I'm not an industry plant. I've been streaming for like a long time now. Fuck Doechii. The umbrella clip pissed me off. What an entitled, unintelligent piece of shit she is, bro. She deserves, bro. I'm not joking, bro. Stop listening to her music. Cardi and Abel, why would you give her a feature on a remix? You shouldn't have cleared it. She's just the worst.
And I think with his recent controversy with her, I think it really does show a lot of people, oh, this dude is just sexist and racist. And one of the more embarrassing things Aiden has done was make a diss track against her with 6ix9ine. Being bratty is apparently horrible, but touching kids is completely a-okay. Aiden is fucking stupid, but he knows what he's doing. He's trying to make people mad in order to get people to talk about him, and I know I'm giving him what he wants by making this video. But it's also worth mentioning the fact that he's not really the only one, although I feel like he's the worst one. The previously mentioned Academics is one I also can't stand. XQC is probably the best I've mentioned out of the three. Even then, he says a lot of stupid shit, like lyrical rappers should go make books. And what a lot of these streamers have in common is that they don't really respect the genre they're talking about. The last thing I want to touch on with this rant is the more so the content surrounding hip-hop recently. I want to shout out Unnamed Reviews for making a video talking about a channel called Fantastic Hip Hop. Let's subscribe to him, he's cool. Fantastic Hip Hop is a channel that talks about hip hop and what's going on in the news currently. Shocker, I know. But what makes him special is he's opposite Academics. This dude dick rides Kendrick any chance he gets. And don't get me wrong, I'm also doing tricks on it just as much. But the problem is he's trying to include Kendrick in literally any conversation in hip-hop. Dude has been milking the well of the Drake versus Kendrick beef longer than any of us. Like, what the fuck does Kendrick Lamar have anything to do with the Savage album? Why does he have to be involved in every hip-hop conversation? Fantastic hip-hop is in a genre that I would like to call hip-hop slop. It rhymes, you see? A lot of the content is very clickbaity and not really that interesting. You know, think like a Sunny V2 video with how it's structured very over dramatically. And look, I get it. It's very easy content to make, but man, is it just not soulless? Penguin Zero makes very easy content. He's even admit that himself, but dude is just really funny. Yeah, sure, he's not going to say the deepest thing, but I know I'm going to have a good time because he's presenting somewhat of his personality in his videos. I don't get that with these videos. These videos feels like, you know, when you're doing a school assignment and you don't really like or care about the topic, but you know you have to do it anyways, so you just write about it and just, you don't really sound like you care, but you're trying to sound like you care. I hope that made sense. Despite my own issue with them though, these channels are harmless. They're not as bad as something like Aiden Ross. It's just not my personal taste. Hip-hop discussion on the internet has just gotten really rough. I think just in general, the internet has just gotten a lot more toxic, but especially in hip-hop, I feel like we're kind of doing a bad job with putting the right people up front. We allowed Aiden Ross to get a career. What are we doing, man? I don't really have a proper ending to this video. Cardi was in the right.